Today, the Middle East holds its breath every time a siren sounds. The modern geopolitical landscape is defined by an absolute hostility between Israel and Iran, focused on the constant threat of missile strikes and nuclear escalation. The nuclear infrastructure Israel now identifies as an existential threat was originally handed to Tehran by the United States. The technicians who first operated these reactors were actively trained by Israeli experts. Today's escalating shadow war is the direct final product of a forgotten top-secret friendship. After World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, leaving a massive power vacuum. That space was rapidly filled by a rising tide of Arab nationalism as newly independent nations sought to assert their dominance. This shift terrified the Shah of Iran. As a Persian Shia Muslim monarch, he watched the growth of Arab-Sunni solidarity and realized his isolated country could easily be swallowed by the surrounding powers. Then came 1948. The United Nations established the State of Israel, triggering an immediate, violent, multi-front war with its newly formed Arab neighbors. Facing total encirclement, Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion drafted a survival strategy known as the Periphery Doctrine. If Israel couldn't make peace with its borders, it would ally with the non-Arab neighbors of its enemies. This map shows the stark geographical reality. Iran and Israel were separated by a massive block of hostile Arab nations. Sheer isolation and a mutual existential threat forced two entirely different states into a covert pact. To avoid enraging the broader Muslim world, Iran officially refused to recognize Israel. But behind closed doors, the Shah allowed a massive Israeli trade office to operate in Tehran, an embassy in everything but name. Their first major collaboration was economic. Iran had massive oil reserves, and Israel desperately needed fuel.
To reach Israel or Europe, Iranian tankers had to pass through the Suez Canal, which was tightly controlled by a hostile Egypt. This map illustrates their logistical solution. By splitting the cost to build the Eilat-Ashkelon pipeline, they drew a direct overland route from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean. This secret infrastructure fed Israel's energy grid while giving Iranian oil access straight into Europe. This economic collaboration established the institutional trust required to exchange much more dangerous, highly classified assets. As the Shah modernized his country, he grew increasingly paranoid about his own citizens. He desperately needed a fiercely loyal, highly effective secret police force to constantly maintain his grip on absolute power. Israel's elite intelligence agency, the Mossad, took the lead in training the Shah's secret police, explicitly teaching them advanced surveillance and brutal interrogation techniques. The military exchange escalated. Israel supplied the Iranian army with advanced weaponry, and the two nations signed classified agreements to jointly develop missile technology. The most significant transfer of power originated in Washington. Under President Dwight D. Eisenhower's Atoms for Peace initiative, the United States provided Iran with its very first nuclear research reactor. When that reactor came online, Israeli scientists were on the ground in Tehran, actively instructing Iranian technicians on how to manage the nuclear material. This partnership reached its peak in 1971. The Shah hosted a lavish desert party at Persepolis to celebrate 2,500 years of the Persian Empire, and the event's security was safeguarded entirely by Mossad agents. In their drive to secure a reliable ally, America and Israel methodically assembled the intelligence, military, and nuclear framework of a Middle Eastern superpower. That golden era collapsed in 1979. The Islamic Revolution swept through the country, entirely dismantling the Shah's regime. Taking power, Ayatollah Khomeini executed a radical pivot. He declared the exiled Shah a traitor and branded Israel as the ultimate enemy of Islam. The physical symbols of the alliance were erased. Revolutionaries stormed the covert Israeli embassy in Tehran, handing the keys directly to Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. Within weeks, the military capabilities, the intelligence network, and the nuclear foundations that Israel and America built were absorbed by a radicalized regime sworn to their destruction. Yet the survival instinct died hard. When the Iran-Iraq War erupted in 1980, Israel shockingly continued to secretly supply weapons to Khomeini's new Islamic Republic. The logic was ruthless. Iraq was an immediate, aggressive Arab neighbor, and Israel willingly armed a government that publicly hated them just to weaken the Iraqi army. By the time that conflict ended in the 1990s, the dust settled on a new reality. The Iraqi threat had faded, leaving Iran in total control of the military and nuclear apparatus. In geopolitics, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. The weapons, the intelligence, and the reactors shared to ensure mutual survival decades ago are the exact same tools fueling today's deadliest shadow war.